Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Every Day's Draft Day. I am your host, Dan Turner. Joining me, welcome back, by the way, for a second straight week is Steffi Smalls, also of Champions Run. How are you, Steph?
I'm good. I mean, neither of us are that good. Both of our teams are dumpster fires. I have committed to not wearing any Giants gear, for the foreseeable future until we start firing some people. But I'm not too bad. I'm looking forward to talk about some other teams other than our two disasters.
Yes, I've heard enough from all my friends that just happen to be Dallas fans and Dallas in general. So I never want to talk about Dallas again, if that's all right with everybody.
And don't worry, they'll mess it up eventually. They always
Oh
do,
yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I'm not. Let them run their victory laps, winning the worst division in the league, and then they'll get crushed by the Rams in like the divisional round or something. I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Not worried at all. They're not going to win anything with a damn.
Love it.
All right, but speaking of some depressing stuff, we're almost halfway through the fantasy season, and things have not been going the way a lot of people have thought. So to start off with, Justin Fields. Justin Fields had his long-awaited first start of the season last week, and to put it mildly, it went terrible. It absolutely was disgusting, horrible, and anyone that was a Justin Fields truther was hiding under a rock after that one. Went 6 for 20 for 68 yards and had 9 sacks. No TDs, no interceptions. Steph, throwing it over to you. What's going on with Fields? Should we be worried, or is this what Matt Nagy has in store for the rest of the season?
Here is another dumpster fire. Talk about another dumpster fire. Matt, okay. This is the thing with Nagy, right? You cannot call an offense for Andy Dalton with Justin Fields in and expect for it to go well. You also can't put the kid out there to get, he got killed. Like 0 yards per pass play. He got sacked 9 times. He got destroyed out there. But what really is the expectation? You are not trying to call any plays that highlight his talents. So that's on you. You're not helping your young guy, right? And now, you know what baffles me the most is I really do think that Nagy and Judge are in some kind of competition to be the worst coach in the entire NFL because the fact that he even said that Foles is in the question, what are you saying? What are you talking about? Why would you start Foles after even Dalton? Like, he's serviceable. I think people are a little too hard on him, but also you need to help your rookie quarterback. You're setting him out there and it's just a disaster, So they play the Lions. The Lions are not as bad as everyone thinks, but their defense stinks. So let's see how it goes. I think this is, they need another redemption. Are we going to see another? And I'm ranting about this, but it drives me crazy because I was thinking about it today. Like the quarterback carousel. So all they're doing is they're replicating last year with 2 different quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Nagy, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, I completely agree. It doesn't seem to make much sense that for a rookie's, first start. And mainly, he was pretty bad, but then you don't turn around and declare an open QB competition in the middle of the season like it's no big deal. Nick Foles didn't have any reps at the number 1 quarterback at all during, the preseason or during camp, and all of a sudden he's in line to start the job. Obviously I'm a big Nick Foles guy, but that's just doing a disservice to your team.
Well, me too. I went to college with him. I love
exactly,
the guy. He's fantastic, but listen, this is not the guy. He's a quarter 4 quarterback or save the day. He is a savior quarterback for, situations where you don't have wounds. Like that's what he is. Mm-hmm. He's not right now. Let's throw him in and just start gambling again.
Yeah, I think it really is hurting, Fields' development, even mentally, to think that, you have one bad start and then your coach doesn't even have your back, and now it's an open QB competition, especially with a guy that wasn't even in line to start any games this year in Foles. That can only be detrimental to his health, and I don't think that, Nagy's doing the right thing by his quarterback at all.
Yeah, no, I really don't think so. I hope they turn around. Like, this isn't someone, if it's a redraft situation, I would be worried. I don't know that the Bears do. I don't know that Nagy is going to pull it together in order for him to be who we want him to be. But like in Dynasty, just put him back on your bench and just wait. Like it'll come. Justin Fields, I'm not giving up on him. The talent is there. It's not his fault. He's in a system, and we're seeing it across the league. All these rookie quarterbacks, they're in systems that are not working for them, that are not helping them, they're not nourishing them. So this is what you get.
Yeah. If I had to bet, I would say that Fields definitely outlasts Nagy in Chicago. You're not gonna, make that high of a pick on a quarterback and then give up on him after one season.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all in on it right now. The Giants are. I mean, we're looking at we might get the first overall and the second overall at this point if the Lions keep playing well. So I'm cool with it. Like Nagy, keep doing your thing. I'm all right with it. But I feel bad for Justin Fields. But I think he is one that I'm not worried about. Right. It's good for him. He's going to struggle. He made mistakes, but there are moments where you're like, see, that's Justin Fields. It's not his fault. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah. My Allen Robinson shares aren't as okay with it, but that's a different story.
Yeah, it's a whole nother story.
Yeah. All right. Going forward to some running back quandaries here. Some running back rooms that are a little messed up. Trey Sermon, got the start after, for some reason, not getting any run in week 1 and getting hurt in week 2 and bouncing back. Sorry again for that concussion. He had 10 carries, 31 yards, and touchdown, and 2 catches for 3 yards. He's in line to get another start this week with Mitchell Knight ready to go. With Mitchell probably being healthy next week, where do you see this San Francisco running back room going?
So this is interesting because they're playing the Seahawks, correct?
Yes.
The Seahawks did allow the most fantasy points per game to running backs. Granted, they're going up. Went up against like Derrick Henry, Madison. So it's a little bit different of a situation. I don't think the Seahawks, I thought going into the season, was as strong as everyone was leading on. Here's the problem, though. With Elijah Mitchell in, you're looking at him probably eating up some of those. But I liked what we saw from Trey Sermon as much as it wasn't a lot. He didn't look great. He did manage to get in the end zone. He did dominate those backfield snaps, but it's really going to come down if Mitchell is healthy. It still baffles me that they didn't keep Wayne Gallman because I think he really would have been the perfect transition here between figuring out like who is going to really be your backfield guy. And I mean, what a disaster. How many running backs? It's crazy. So I've been saying it, get Wilson, stick him in IR, and then wait for him to come back, and he'll probably declare himself a little bit more, but you're not looking till November. So it's the Seahawks. So I like it maybe as a flex option if you have to, but like I'm not starting one of these guys as like my main running backs this week.
Right. I think it with the news, if Mitchell doesn't play, I'll probably, if I have to, play Sermon just because there's so many other injuries at the running back position overall that there might not be any really good options left on the wire to replace him. But going forward, like you said, like it's going to be, if he comes back, it's going to be more of what we've seen from the 49ers in years past, where we don't know which running back's going to get, the hot hand, or who's going to get the most carries, who's going to get the goal line carries. And that's not even mentioning that Wilson's eventually going to come back and probably dominate the goal line like he's been doing the past couple of years. So it's just, it's a big mess. So I would say start, Sermon this week if you've got him. But then, it's you're rolling the dice like going forward to see, especially all the people that spent like $1 million of their fab on Mitchell. I mean,
it's like classic week 1, week 2. Like, what are you guys doing? You're going to be, I think of it in Bridesmaids, and she's like, help me, I'm poor. Like, that is you guys by week 5. What are you doing? I try to tell you this every year.
Yep. And then they spent all the money on Mitchell and didn't have any left for Hubbard.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. But going forward, I'm not going to, I'll probably roster if they're available. I'll roster one of them if people like drop them or whatever. But I'm not going to go out of my way to start them unless it's a breaking glass in case of emergency.
What keeps replaying in my head is, remember during the offseason, this was after the draft, and they came out and they were like, we're going to run the ball 500 million times. Like, and I keep thinking that because I kept drafting him. Like, I seriously thought he was a steal at his ADP because I really thought that Sermon was going to be the guy. You don't draft him that high to not use him in that role. Then they get rid of Gallman. I'm like, oh, this is getting great. Like, Wilson gets hurt. I'm like, Sermon's about to go off. And then all of a sudden, Mitchell's like, no, I'm better than you. Like, what is happening? So that keeps replaying in my head. I'm not giving up on Sermon, though. I think there's a reason why they drafted him again. These guys have to transition, and sometimes it doesn't go as well for everyone.
Yeah. we should have been paying more attention because they did say, a rookie running back was going to get a lot of the carries. It just wasn't the right rookie running back we thought it was. It was the other guy with the less draft capital that got all the stuff. But hey, that's the San Francisco for you.
Right.
Shenanigans. Speaking of running back rooms, we had some unfortunate news that James White was probably lost for the rest of the year with an injury. So that leaves the pass catching role pretty much open as far as running back goes in New England. So far, you have Harris there, Bolden, J.J. Taylor, and Ramondre Stevenson. How do you see that Patriots running back room shaking out? Do you think that it makes it any more clear, or do you think it's just, more of the jumble up mess we've all seen for the past couple of years?
And I feel like if Mac was doing a little bit, like if he was catching up a little bit faster than I had hoped, maybe I would feel a little bit better about saying like, oh, this is good for Jacoby Myers, right? Maybe that is finally we get Jacoby Myers, Mac Jones connection that ends up being beautiful, and he is winning the passing game role. But someone that I think a lot of people forgot about, and shout out to Adam Rain, because he's probably someone, even me who is from my alma mater, did not really pay a lot of attention to. But this offseason, they used J.J. Taylor. J.J. Taylor could fill that role. I'm telling you, if you could get a spot, like if there's someone that you can get rid of and you can pick up J.J. Taylor just as a stash, like just in case, like maybe he is that passing game guy. Like we saw Mac in the offseason look really good with J.J. Taylor. Like I'm all in. I love J.J. Taylor. I think he's an aggressive back. I would love for him to end up stepping into that role. But again, the Patriots are another offense that haven't fully declared themselves. This is going to be a tough matchup this week too. So this was not the best time for White to be going down, especially with, Brady coming in, and it might get a little bad.
Who's Brady? Who's Brady? I never heard of him. Is he going to Foxborough this week?
Honestly, he might be. I think he might have won a couple Super Bowls over there.
Was it? Never heard of him. Never heard of him. Don't know what they're thinking putting that game in prime time. I didn't think it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, I think what they thought was Mac Jones would not be in yet, and I think that it was going to be like this fun thing where, and I was saying it all off season where. Oh, quarter 4, all of a sudden Belichick's like, go ahead, Mac Jones, show my old toy, my new toy. And I thought it was going to be this awesome thing. I'm pretty sure, and I should have looked it up because it's talked about in my show, but I keep forgetting. I think there's also a couple of records that Bill Belichick could beat this game should they win. I'm not positive what it is. I'll have to go back and look, but I know that they set it up. The NFL, this was they love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think Brady's 68 yards away from the passing record.
Yeah.
So they play that off perfectly.
Of course.
But I agree with you. I'm definitely all in on the J.J. Taylor bandwagon. I'm actually, before the show, I was trying to pick him up in every league I could that I had a spot in. He had, like you said, he had a great preseason. He had almost 180 yards rushing, a bunch of catches and targets, and even returned some punts. So I can easily see him, stepping right into that James White role in an offense and really being a great, PPR back that is basically free right now. I mean, obviously, it's the Patriots, and we never know what kind of, carries. It could be Bolden one day, Stevenson another, and then Taylor the next week.
Yeah.
But if he can lock down that, the one thing that's been consistent over the years with the Patriots is definitely the receiving back numbers, whether it's been, James White or whoever, or Dion Lewis. So if he can, establish himself in that role for the rest of the season, he's definitely.
And he's great. I mean, he can break tackles. He is and I love, aggressive backs like that are phenomenal. They're so fun to watch. They're great for if he can get going, it'd be really cool to see J.J. Taylor, get his role in this offense. I actually would love it.
Yeah.
Especially with Jonnu being a disappointment too. I was expecting way more out of him. That's probably one of the biggest L's I'm going to take this season, unless he somehow manages to not disappoint me. I was so high on this guy, and he has been. I'm disappointed. So I hope that it gets better, but it's not looking very promising.
Yeah, I don't get it. It was perfect. He was put in the best position ever to be something, and for some reason, just hasn't.
That's all you need. That was the perfect. What? Come on, it's the perfect scenario, the perfect equation. What is going on? So I hope they get him involved too. But again, next week is not the week to be figuring it out because
Tampa's
D is going to run all over these guys. Poor guys.
Yeah. Clamp them down. 100%. 100%. All right, moving along to some wide receivers because the show of disappointment continues.
Well, so, we're really putting out a sad show.
It is a sad show.
We have nothing happy to tell you.
This is not a happy time. Sorry. There is no happiness to be found here this week. Maybe next week, but not. We warned everyone. And it wasn't going to be happy.
If our teams suck, your team sucks.
If we suffer, everyone else that listens has to suffer too. Sorry. That's just the way it is.
I love it.
Them's the rules. We don't make them. So.
Yeah, we don't make them.
Yeah. So T. Higgins is out for this week's game, Thursday Night Football for the Bengals, which means that Tyler Boyd will have another increased role. Last week he had 4 catches, 36 yards, and a TD, but he's averaging over 6 targets a game for the entire season. Mm-hmm. After this week, with Higgins maybe coming back, do you think now is the time to sell on Tyler Boyd, or do you think that his participation in the offense will continue to be this consistent?
Yeah, I think it is time, especially, if you're someone like me, and I did miss on the Boyd thing, I'd probably say I was more in on this Higgins Chase, let's stack them and then see how it goes with Burrow and whatever. But I think that Chase, this is gonna be a week. He might make a name for himself, and I'm gonna go out and it's gonna be he might make a name for himself this week. Offensive Rookie of the Year may not be that shocking this week because we have seen him consistently do very well. He has 4 touchdowns, 3 games. He looks very good. He looks like the Chase. It cracks me up that everyone was trolling him because he said the balls were too big, and then he came out and was like, I never said that. It's out of context. And I think they're showing them exactly. He's showing us exactly who he is. And they're playing a very sedated team that is not going to do that well. And I think, again, the Bengals have looked good. They keep it clean. And I think this might be the game that we see Chase really go off. I'm starting him wherever I can.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's against Jacksonville, so that's really nothing, to speak of. I agree with you there that Chase is definitely going to be a big factor. I think that's only going to help Tyler Boyd too. I think that people that were expecting Boyd to be the third in targets, it's pretty much been proven right. But with Higgins hurt, I think that he can definitely do well this week.
Right.
But I think definitely after this week, you if he can do a good week, see if you can sell him off to someone that's just stat looking and not realizing the situation.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting. I don't know what I didn't take a look totally at Higgins, how long he's supposed to be out. But if this is something, that lingers, maybe it's Boyd and Chase, and that's what's up. And Higgins, unfortunately, takes the short stick there. Burrow gets comfortable. And I would hate it, but it might be time. Honestly, if this goes well, I'm out. After this week, I might start getting ready to send Higgins out of some of these rosters.
Someone's got to go. Just it depends on who it is.
It's like Survivor. You are voted off the islands.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Not all 3. You can stay.
Absolutely. Which brings us to our last topic of this overly depressing podcast we're doing today, pulling the plug on people that you've drafted really high. So far, we've had disappointing performances from Robert Woods, A.J. Brown, Ronald Jones, George Kittle, Miles Sanders, Deontay Johnson, to name a few people that people spend a lot of draft capital on. At what point in the season do you pull the plug on these guys and try either trade them for whatever you can get, or even just outright drop them in cases like Rojo, who's been completely unplayable the last couple of weeks?
This sucks. Honestly, this is the worst part, right? Because we're at it's that sweet spot where it's you might just end up sending him away too early. Justin Jefferson, a lot of people did it last year and they got boned, right? We might be right there where
right that line.
I don't know if I can get rid of him. Someone that I think of, not, I know we said we were talking about the Eagles and the Giants. I'm sorry. But Devontae Smith, I'm not ready to get rid of him. I know the connection is there. I think that Jalen Hurts can figure it out. I think that he's going to have those he just has to get hot. They got to get him hot. And I'm just not ready to give up on him. We saw that first week, and that's someone that, no, I'm not ready. But AJ Brown starting, I'm not going to lie, this week was when I started to get a little nervous. I'm like, is it time now? Because what happens if you end up getting stuck with this guy? And if you guys still have Evan Ingram, and that was like one of the first tight ends you took, then I don't know what to tell y'all, because I can't believe that he dropped it. But I know we weren't supposed to talk about them, but you have to tread lightly. I think look at the schedule coming up is one thing too. Like, do they have nice matchups? Does the future at least look bright for them? Especially in Dynasty too. Like, if they're a little bit older of a player, maybe head out now, because this might be the highest value that you're going to get on them is right now. In redraft, you might be able to hang out a little bit longer, but you're going to have to stream some players probably to sacrifice keeping them. So that's the worst part.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like you were mentioning that thin line where, okay, maybe it's a week early to give up on them, but if I wait another week and something, like terrible happens and then they have no value at all, and then it's a week too late.
Right.
Especially with people that, especially us as analysts, we do the research and we're really high on people, and then we draft them and get them on our teams. And, it's tough to let go and admit being wrong about a player that we liked.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that, it really all depends. I think, you made a great point looking at the upcoming schedule to see if there is, some matchups that they can exploit to maybe have a bounce back, or or are they just, facing like a chainsaw of bad matchups and there really isn't any hope of recovery. I think AJ Brown is a perfect example where, the first couple of weeks, he was completely healthy and just wasn't performing. And now he has a hamstring injury. So, those things tend to linger.
We hate the hamstring too. Right, I think the key here too is like, don't get rid of a guy if you're getting no value. Like, at least like if there's someone that's really high on them, great, go ahead, King's ransom, or at least get maybe you get a fair trade out of it, but don't get rid of these guys for nothing, because there's still a chance, like, especially names like AJ Brown, like, even like Kittle has been disappointing, right? It's not time to get rid of those guys for nothing. Because they still, the talent's there, that the offense is still, something has to click. So it's a little too early for those guys. Don't just get rid of them for peanuts, right?
Yeah. There is something to say about also, panicking and, being quick on the trade trigger on those name guys, because like those guys are like the ones that you spent, 1, 2, third round capital on. So the talent is obviously there, and there may be in extenuating circumstances on what they're doing.
Yeah. And I think another thing too to look at, and something I look at, and I'll use Saquon Barkley as an example, is what is the week to week look like? Is there is it improving how they're involved? Is it trending in the right direction? Then that's one thing. I will hold on a little bit longer. I'm also being a homer, obviously, but are you trending in the right direction? I mean, I think you missed on the boat to get rid of Saquon anyways. They have a horrible schedule, but look at what direction things are going in. If it's not getting any better, and they have horrible matchups coming up, like, you may not even get anything for that guy, but you should try.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think Saquon's actually a really good case because, he was the one that, at the beginning of the year, he wasn't getting, they were ramping him up back from injury, but now, they're planning on giving him a full loan, but now like some of his receivers are injured on the Giants. So he might be getting some receiving work, but they could also key on him more because, Sterling Shepard's hurt now. So that's one less guy that the defense has to pay attention to that isn't on Barkley. So it's, you have to balance out, the situations for all of them.
For sure.
So
I agree.
All right. I think that'll do it that's enough being depressing for 1 week.
Happy week 4.
Happy week 4, everyone. Yeah. Hopefully
we're so depressing. This is the saddest show ever. Sorry. We are not doing well with our,
we are sorry.
Our teams stink. The NFC East stinks once again. We're sick of it, but it's good. We have there's good matchups this week. It'll be good football for teams other than you and I.
Yes. Anyone that isn't an NFC East or Dallas fan, enjoy your week. Your team's probably doing pretty okay unless you're like the Jets or someone, but then you're a Jets fan and you're used to it. So that's fine. Yeah. Sorry, Jets fans. We love you. but yeah, I hope you all enjoy week 4. Steph, why don't you let everyone know where they can find you?
Yeah. You guys can find me at Steffi Smalls with 3 L's, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Smalls Talks Balls episode 3 will be out tomorrow. That's on our YouTube. It's on Spotify. But everything that I do is on Champions Round now.
Yeah, find her on MySpace,
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. Actually, I'm not on LinkedIn. I'm, no match.com, but
No.
I'm around.
There's an unexplored avenue we haven't discussed yet. I gotta bring that up. All right, you can follow me on Twitter at EagleDanFF. I also do all my stuff for Champions Round. I'm doing my sit start tomorrow. I already put out my waiver pickups and the buy sell I had, so check those articles out. I hope everyone has a better week than we just had this past week, and enjoy your week 4. Have a good day, everyone.